Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today, I want to break down five, well, maybe six games that I just didn't enjoy. Now, does that mean the games that I'm bringing to the table here are bad games? Well, yes, but also no. By no means are the games I'm showing off bad games. In fact, your friend group, and many of my personal friend groups still absolutely love these games, or else I wouldn't have them here to display because they didn't match up for me. Now, that being said, I have another video coming out this week talking about the idea of revisiting games we didn't enjoy. The whole concept of play experiences, player counts, your general attitude or aptitude of as a gamer, mixed in with a whole lot of mitigating factors, including how hungry you are, whether or not you recently had your intake of caffeine, and what time of day it is. Or, as Board Game Co. has been learning this last week, whether or not your air conditioning is working. All of those things factor into your enjoyment of a game. Because when you get it to the table, there's so much more beyond just the straight puzzle itself. That being said, these are six games that I've played that I did not enjoy, and that if there's enough demand, requests, or just sheer frustration on the part of the audience, I'm open to getting them to the table again, and a few of these I really genuinely feel like I should, if only to give them another chance, possibly a more fair shake, and to do my very best to produce content on them, because my friend group do. Because my friend group really does like and still play these games. And yeah, I just haven't been convinced yet. Let's start right here with Bargain Quest. Bargain Quest is going to be a epic adventure where you're going on this amazing journey as a shopkeeper, doing your very best to partition your various wanderers and warriors and warlords into purchasing from your merchandise, getting as much gold as possible, sending them out on epic quests, betting or banking that they'll either die on those epic adventures or return home with your gear and with a little bit more coin in their pocket to purchase more from your stall. This is going to be a game all about sort of abstract economics, doing your very best to understand how the playing field is going to work itself out, do your very best to install or place in your shop windows the right items to lure people in, and then keep or hold on to the cards that you've been able to draft yourself and sell those, getting as many points as possible. I had a 3-player experience with this, with 2 people that still love and own the game, and it just didn't work for me. Bargain Quest was a little bit too random, not quite thematic enough. I like games that give me a sense of story and adventure, and while the artwork is charming and beautiful, the aesthetic of the game are exquisite, I didn't find it to be overly challenging. I just found that the players that kind of knew how the game was going to operate already had such a strong advantage over me that it became frustrating for me to even really bet or bank on what the marketplace was going to do and understand how the enemies would interact with our characters. We ended up just clean sweeping a bunch of the enemies, which they did say was a uncommon situation, and we did play with the Black Market expansion, which introduces a bunch of either super powerful or, honestly, really weak and pathetic items, and I doubled down heavy on that expansion, not quite understanding that it could be the reason I lose the game dramatically. I just wasn't sold, and I haven't got it back to the table ever since then, even though my friend group has. I really had high hopes for this game. I still, honestly, have that bit of nostalgia or desire to like it, and if I want to tell you a secret, I have an unopened copy of it downstairs, still not quite willing or ready to let my own copy go. But right now, it's definitely on my list of games that I just didn't enjoy. Next is going to be a game that I've actually played, I believe, 4 times now. And once again, that's because my friend group really does like Smartphone Inc. And for me, it just did not make it into my collection, and I would prefer doesn't make it back onto the table. Now, this is one of those games that I have enough experience with to know this game just isn't quite right for me. What you're doing in Smartphone Inc. is a bit of a classic, I would say, Euro-type economic game. You're doing your very best to create and establish little pockets of engines to manufacture and sell or distribute phones with varying technology all across the globe. You're the CEO of a brand new smartphone industry or brand new smartphone tablet device, and so you're deciding what items to add, what benefits you'll get from them, where you're going to be able to sell them to the market, and you have this regional map that creates a competing hybrid or competing network of phones and phone distributors. So you're bumping up against your friends and your opponents from time to time, doing your very best to control a region or, get the most value from a marketplace. This game is loved because people tend to like economic-driven games with a brand new theme, one that relates a little bit more closely with our current day and age. But that's where it starts to fall short for me. I don't love the theme. I don't really care about smartphones or being a CEO of some tech giant or tech industry. I'd much rather manage old-school railroads or medieval merchandise like you do in Bargain Quest. And I didn't really feel the theme come through strongly in the game. I want a game that lets me feel like I'm really controlling this abstract puzzle, even if it is a heavily Euro economic-driven puzzle. I want to feel like I'm doing the math and really creating the calculations, the strategic marketing decisions, the branching pathways of smartphone technology that allow our region to expand into other regions. And here, it's as simple as making sure you have your numbers lined up correctly, making sure that you've taken the benefit that you need to help you move from this round to the next round and continue distributing phones, and it comes down much more to a personal in-your-head puzzle than a on-the-table kind of strategic marketplace. Along with that, I didn't find the player interaction overly interesting. You do bump up against each other from time to time, and there's the risk of being closed out of a marketplace if something doesn't quite go your way, but I was able to mitigate and control for that in almost every situation in all of the gameplays I've had so far. And so, Smartphone Inc., while, again, I know a lot of people that really, really enjoy this game, after about 4 plays, I think I've had just about enough of it. I might get it to the table 1 or 2 more times, depending on what group I'm playing with, but it won't be one that I'm seeking out. Next is going to be a game that I've only ever played once, and continued to make fun of ever since then. And that's primarily because the friend that I was playing with loved this game so much, and I just couldn't see why. Now, Barrage has a lot of things working for it. This is going to be another one of those Euro-style puzzles, and don't get the impression that I don't like Euro games. I do. There's a lot of Euro games out there that I absolutely adore. It's just every now and then a puzzle and theme don't quite hit the sweet spot for me, and I find myself really not connecting with the mechanics because of that. Barrage is going to be one of those. It has this really cool abstracted, or I guess not abstracted, really cool mechanic system where you have water flowing down a river and various dams and waterways that are being built to collect the water and convert it into I thought I forgot the name there for a second. Convert it into power. You're doing your very best to manage a resource-generated water wheel, a little rondelle system on your player board, and you're utilizing those resources as they come up in your marketplace to build, construct, and expand your empire. This is really a game all about water and the way it flows and the way economic systems or capitalist and entrepreneurs are able to take advantage of that by building a dam slightly higher than yours, by collecting or redistributing water, by sending it down various branching pathways. And it actually does that really well. If the idea of managing a flowing waterway or an economic system that is moving and adjusting kind of the way that a river does sounds interesting to you, Barrage may be a sweet spot for you. Along with a really cool rondelle mechanic, this is one that I could be and should be convinced to get back to the table. But it just didn't work for me. The rondelle system and the resource management system was a bit predictable in my book. I could see what was coming up and was able to plan in accordance with that. Cutting off your friends and opponents was fun, but maybe a little bit too mean for a game where I wanted to kind of control my economic strategy. I didn't love being built on top of and having my entire little network stop functioning. And I understand that's the nature of the game, but it wasn't a fun experience for me. And at the end of the day, that experience is what is influencing whether or not I enjoyed the game. Along with that, while I like the theme and the aesthetic of the game, honestly, it didn't translate into the play experience. I didn't feel like I was taking advantage and really converting this water to my own devices. I do like how it tumbles down the hill and starts being redistributed, but for me, it felt like resources and cubes sort of moving from point to point. I didn't quite feel like it was this cascading sort of chaining effect. I really should play Barrage again. Might be even a little hurtful that it's on this list, but it's here because my first play experience was not good enough for me to want to play another one. And it's been about a year or so with my friend swearing by it, Jan, and me saying, yeah, I just wasn't convinced. At least not yet. Let's move this over. Let's talk about Cubitos, a game that we pair head-to-head against Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I know Alex over at Board Game Co., Shira, Jan, Rena, Alex's wife, they've all played and had varying experiences with this, and really it comes down to a love-it-or-hate-it style of approach. This is going to be like Quacks of Quedlinburg in the sense that you're going to be able to customize and build your own little deck. It's like a bag building or dice kind of, I don't know, packet construction, deck building style game where you're pressing your luck, doing your very best to control the movement and flow of your character. This is going to be a racing-driven game where Quacks of Quedlinburg, you're going to be adding potions to your ingredients pot, but both of them have you trying to move around the track as much as you can, along with varying abilities based on colors and upgrades that you get. And I know it sounds like a lot of fun. For me, it wasn't. I didn't like the dice rolling mechanic. I didn't enjoy the way that the powers and abilities scaled together and how it mitigates by taking away some of your dice. I gotta be honest, Quacks for me is one of my favorite games of all time, and Cubitos just is a poor comparison against that. Now, I'm not alone in that opinion. Rena also agrees with me, but as far as Alex and Shira are concerned, they both absolutely adore Cubitos. They like the dice rolling and the mitigation. They feel like it gives you a little bit more control over the randomness of kind of drawing from a bag. And I get that. I really do. Like I said, these games probably are going to be a pair of love 'em or hate 'em. And for me, this one just does not need to hit the table again when I could get the other counterpart to the table. But for Alex and Shira, I believe refuses to play Quacks of Quedlinburg, but is always happy to play Cubitos. Swing over to another game here, Treasure Island. A little bit more of a experience, or not party game, but an experiential family game where you're going to be searching on a whiteboard map, drawing rings and clues and trying to get closer and closer to where the famed pirate Blackbeard, I think, I don't know, wherever the treasure is specifically hid on Treasure Island. You'll have many hunters and explorers searching to find that treasure. You'll have one person controlling the pirate, giving clues and choosing what they reveal to the players. And I understand what this game is doing. Honestly, out of all the games on the table here, this is the one that's sort of in the middle the most. I did not enjoy it. I thought it was a really interesting experience. I understand everything that it's trying to accomplish, and I think it does a pretty darn good job at it. The person giving hints and clues feels like they have control over the player's experience. They're able to direct or redirect while being forced to share knowledge that is essential to the players discovering where the treasure is buried. And the whiteboard effect and jotting down on your own little personal board, trying to race to that final pot of gold, was really, really interesting. For me, the gameplay experience just ran on a little too long. The whiteboard I found a bit messy as I was doing, or dry erase board potentially. I found a bit messy as I was trying to do my best to plan from one event to another event. I didn't love the interaction of Blackbeard sharing information that might help some players over others. And this game, well, I think it does everything it tries to do. It just wasn't right for me. It wasn't a game that I wanted to add to my collection immediately. It isn't a game that I'm rushing to get back to the table. That one play experience gave me a really good sense of what it does. And while I would play this game with a new group of players or sit down with a family game night and probably have a really, really good time with it, it was a little bit on the disappointing side compared to what I had expected from it at the time. Treasure Island came out with a lot of buzz from a group of media and content creators, and I was kind of brand new to the hobby when it first arrived, and so I was so excited about the concept of what this game was trying to do that we picked it up and played it as quickly as possible. And the experience just wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. Overall, I could and do highly recommend, well, all the games that are on the table if you are sure that they'd be right for you and your game group. But Treasure Island is one of those games that I think is probably worth the experience. This mixture of one versus many sort of hidden movement, or not quite hidden movement, hidden item, deduction game paired with a bit of dry erase kind of nostalgia feels really good. But for me, it was an experience. It wasn't an experience that I am eagerly seeking to have again. And finally, oh, this big box masterpiece here, Western Legends. Western Legends is a fantastic game. I know, weird game to have on a list, right? To follow up games that I was disappointed by, and here I'm saying Western Legends is fantastic. And it really, really does some incredible things. It's this open world Western game, perfect for my genre or my experience. It does a lot of interesting elements with you being able to mine gold, rustle cattle, go to war with people, rob a train if you have the expansion, play poker in a saloon, get drunk, bet, and gamble, and do everything that you think that the old Wild West should allow you to do. I have enjoyed every single turn I have taken in Western Legends. The problem is not my turns. The problem is everyone else's. You see, Western Legends, being this open world experience, really does a lot of stuff that for me is perfect in a game, stuff that I'm looking for. And I was playing this originally to compare it to Bantam West, a video that we just didn't have quite enough time to get done, and I wanted to do a head-to-head. And Bantam West, in case you all were curious and you're watching because of this, I think does an open world Western better than Western Legends does for one very important and very specific reason. I really don't care and don't enjoy the other players' turns in Western Legend, and there's so many opportunities for them to move and take advantage of the game state that it really does and can take a long time to get back around to my turn. This is a game that is best played with more people, and also the worst parts of it start to shine with the more people that you're playing with. I understand and agree with people who say they love this game as an open world, as an open world love letter to the board game hobby and hobby space. This is one that I don't mind keeping on my shelf. I honestly kind of want my own copy of it. I borrowed Alex's for this video and for the gameplays that we've done. But so far, my experience with Western Legends has been my turns are incredible, and I just don't care and want you to go ahead and finish up your turns quicker. It's an open world game, so the things that you do, unless you're directly next to me, rarely, if ever, are impacting my gameplay experience. I just want to go ahead and rob the train already, or rustle these cattle and see if I make it back home. I want to go mining for gold. Why do I have to wait for you to resolve your fight all the way across the board with the bandit camp? It's got this big open world play experience, and it feels like that. It feels like I'm waiting for days on end, just twiddling my thumbs and chewing on a stalk of grass. So, an incredible game, one well worth playing. But I just wish I could, skip over those darn wait times. So there you have it. 6 games that disappointed me. Games that, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't hurt my gameplay experience or my hobby experience if I never get them to the table again, but it probably would hurt some of my friends, because these are games that they still like getting to the table. So what's your thought? What's your opinion on this type of video or this series? What games should I be getting to the table? What games have disappointed you over the course of the last year? And on top with that, please keep an eye out for that other video that I'm producing, revisiting games I did not enjoy. Because I gotta be honest, a few of these should hit the table again. And there's been a few recent games that would or could have been on this list that I've played. And the second, third, fourth, fifth times I've got them to the table, they've gotten better and better and started to rise up the ranks, which is fascinating because like I said at the very beginning of the video, the context in which you're playing games matters so much. How hungry are you? Who are you playing with? How many players? What day or time is it? Are you stressed about other exterior life elements? Is it mechanics that you're aware of and ready to embrace? Is your hype level, like mine was for Bargain Quest, way above where the experience was going or could have been? If that's the case, then that disbalance may be the whole or sole reason you didn't enjoy the first play. Maybe when I swing into this little gem again, because I'm a little bit more balanced in my expectations and potentially even lower than where it should end up, I might really like it. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.